Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars. SoundCartel. Does your business have a registered .com.au domain? Well, did you know that a new, shorter domain is now available? Simply .au. And you have until the 20th of September this year to register one, before someone else snatches it. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. The .au Domain Administration, or AUDA, is the Australian authority which manages the rules around the .au domains, like .com.au, .net.au, .org.au and so on. Following popular demand, AUDA decided to introduce the short and simple domain .au. Does it mean giving up the .com.au you already have though? Well, not necessarily, says Leigh Ericksen, Creative Director of Stoke Design. You probably still want to hold on to that. Why then, Chris Ashmore asks Leigh, would a business bother registering for a .au domain?
From a technical perspective, there's no direct benefit. It's not like it's going to boost up your SEO or anything like that. It's as simple as that it's just shorter. It gives customers more choice. So when it comes time to registering a domain name, there are a lot of domain names already taken. The .au introduces a new whole realm of domain names that are available for purchase.
What happens if a business doesn't change to .au?
So as long as you keep renewing your current domain name, whether that's a .com.au or something equivalent, it will just keep running as per usual.
Right. So most businesses, they have a .com.au, some have .net.au and so on. What's the benefit of having a .com.au? Does that provide legitimacy to the business?
It does. And it also helps search engines as well. So, for example, Google as a search engine, if I'm a user in Australia and I'm looking for an Australian website, those IDs like the .com.aus or .aus or .net.aus give Google what it needs to go, okay, this person is in this country looking for this website, it must be a good match. It also just does confirm that, in fact, this business is Australian. I'm looking at the right spot, because the only way to get them is via that ABN or ACN registration.
Right. And so likewise, I suppose if a business does adopt just the .au, it also again provides a kind of a legitimacy that their business
correct.
is legitimate.
Actually in Australia, because once again, just like those .com.aus, you have to have either you're an Australian resident or an ABN or an ACN to be able to even register that domain name.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go to the nitty-gritty. And how does a business reserve a .au domain?
Yeah, so it's a bit tricky, and they've never done anything like this before. Traditionally, if you want to register a domain name, you go to a website, one of the registrants, you go, is this available? Yes, it is. You put in your credit card details and you're done. The .au is a little bit different. Starting March 24th up until September 20th, we've got what we call the priority process. That's just to ensure that people, like, let's say, just someone off the street can't go and buy ibm.com.au just because they got to it before IBM did. What this actually allows is it allows people who own any namespace ending in .au, so it could be .com.au or .net.au, their first opportunity to be able to register the .au before anyone else. So most people have up to 6 months to do that. And it's broken down into two categories, so Category 1 and Category 2. And it all comes down to how long your domain name has been registered for. So I believe it's from February 2018 prior, you have first priority. From February 18th up until March 24th, just gone, you're Category 2. So for example, if John over here owns test.com.au and he's had it since 2000, but Simon's over here and he's owned test.net.au, they're technically both eligible for it, but because, let's say, Simon falls into Category 2, John gets first pick because he's Category 1. You can contest it though, however. But yeah, there's a process in place to ensure that people who want to get it can get it first, to ensure they can do some brand protection from their end as well. There's nothing worse than someone getting a domain name and putting something else that's completely irrelevant and could do some damage to the brand as well.
So say soundcartel.com.au and we're going to register soundcartel.au. We've got to do it by when?
Yeah, by September 20th. So what happens after September 20th, it just goes into the general pool of domain names and it's open to the general public. So, for example, if SoundCartel have not registered their .au by September 20th, it'll be open to the public and anyone with an ABN or an ACN will be able to purchase that.
Does it cost money?
Of course, yeah. There's no such thing as free domain names. Depending on the registrant, it can vary from person to person. Smaller IT companies might charge a bit more because of admin fees, where larger ones, because they sell so many, can offer them at relatively good prices. Most of the larger ones start at roughly about $14 a year. And you have to keep renewing that. You kind of end up renting domain names. You never own them. You technically lease them. As soon as you stop paying for them, they're no longer yours. And usually you can do them anywhere from a 1 year to a 5 year lease.
And what happens to the old .com.au?
Oh, nothing at all. It'll just keep existing. So most benefit will be in sort of email addresses, especially when you're typing in long ones. So it might be, chris@soundcartel.au. If you don't have to type another 3 or 4 characters, it's always going to make your life a little easier.
But if you're a business, say soundcartel.com.au, and we change, and we're now soundcartel.au.
Yes.
And then after a while, once everyone's got used to our new domain, and we let the .com.au slide away, what happens then? Can another company grab that .com.au?
Yeah, correct. So when domain names expire, they've all got an expiry date. Depending on the registry, you usually have up to 30 days to give you an opportunity to rebuy it back. Once those 30 days elapse, it just goes into the general pool. So someone else could buy it.
And confuse the market.
And can do a lot of damage to brand, possibly. So yeah, there's lots of sort of factors there. My theory is for the cost of a domain name per year, it's best to have brand protection so no one else pops up and pinches it rather than letting it go.
So keep both .com.au and .au.
Yeah, that's what I would do, just due to the minimal cost that's involved with domain names. It's better than trying to fight trademark battles and stuff.
So how do you reserve a .au domain?
There's a handful of AUDA registered registrars. It's most of the usual typical sort of domain name registrars, so like Venture IPs, Crazy Domains, all those sort of ones, or even most of your ones in town, so they might be local to you, your IT providers, your web designers, all those sort of people have access to register these for you. The only catch is it needs to be through the same person that registered your .com.au, which was a bit of a late addition to the rulebook when these were released. So yeah, if you registered your own .com.au with Crazy Domains 10 years ago, you cannot register your .au with anyone else. It has to be with that registrar.
Any final thoughts, Leigh, when it comes to domain names?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of emails and marketing flying around about the .au and the introduction of it. Some of them are using it as a bit of a scare tactic-y sort of thing, so getting quick before you miss out. If you already own your .com.au or .net.au or something ending in .au, you do have up until that September 20th deadline to snag it before you do. So you can literally leave it to the eve of. But in the meantime, yeah, you don't need to rush out, do what you got to do, buy everything. It's more so of a case, if you want to do that brand protection, that's the best way to do it.
That's Leigh Ericksen, Creative Director of Stoke Design. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.